Hi, this is for my material culture multimodal component presentation on the transformation of menstrual pads through innovation and attitude shifts. This is my first slide. And so I want to give a little bit of backstory on what menstruation is for those who don't know. Menstruation is a natural part of the reproductive cycle during which blood from the uterus exits through the vagina. This little animation right here kind of shows what that looks like inside of the uterus. This process typically occurs for the first time in girls between the ages of 11 and 14 years old. I also have provided some of the derived terms from Greek and Latin. Menesis meaning month, mene meaning moon. This is because the ancient civilizations used to believe, since menstruation, the typical cycle is every 28 days, your new cycle starts. They believed that since the moon cycles the earth every 29.5 days, that there was some kind of link, but scientists have actually researched that and proven that not to be true, or at least backed up. And if I can get my other side to work, okay, this provides a little bit more of insight into what the menstrual management throughout history looked like. Obviously, back in ancient civilization time, ancient Egypt, they didn't have the kind of accessibility that we have today, or the options either, so that they really had to work with the natural materials that they had. So that would include softened papyrus, and for Roman and Greek women, they had to utilize natural materials such as wool, leather, and animal skin. Then, as time goes on, we get a little bit more progressive, obviously, but not in this one. Not in Middle Ages of Europe. If anything, this period of time, women had to conceal their menstruation altogether. So what they did use was mostly just scraps from their fabrics, or I included some of the cloth that they would use. Otherwise, they would just free bleed, which is still popular today in some cultures and stuff. And so, like I said, as you get a little bit further along, though, we do have more progression in the alternatives offered. So this was the first commercially available menstrual pad, which was disposable. It was created by Johnson & Johnson. And yeah. And then, so these were the Kotex maxi pads, created in 1940. This was a pretty big thing, and I actually found this picture off of Etsy to show us what they would have looked like back then. They were very thick and used for absorbency, which was good, but they were made out of, and if you give me a minute, they were made out of cellulose, whereas the ones up here didn't really list what they were made out of. So then I also made sure to include the sanitary belts, because they were such a big part of the evolution of menstrual pads as well. They had been around, I know I said 1956 because that's when they initially got released and recognized, but they had actually been used since late 1890s, and they were used to support the menstrual pads that you would usually put it around your waist, and then you would place the disposable pad or cloth pad, whichever you use, in the middle, if that makes sense. So yeah. And then 1990s to present, we have a lot more options, you could say. I mean, we can walk into literally any store near us, and there's plenty of options. There's different sizes, different levels of absorbency, and it's made out of different materials, including cotton, rayon, and super absorbent polymers. So nowadays, we focus a lot more on odor control and eco-friendly options, such as those made from organic cotton. I made sure to include these because of the sizes that we now have, which you would have never thought about in ancient civilization time. We even have overnight pads and stuff like that as well, so very convenient. Beliefs surrounding menstruation, like I said, taboos and stigmatism was such a big part of menstruation, so I wanted to include that. But it wasn't always bad either. So some cultures and indigenous tribes, such as the Cherokee people, viewed menstruation as empowering, believing that menstrual blood possessed special powers. So for the majority of the research and everything, a lot of cultures viewed it as something sinful, shameful, and generally try to keep it very discreet, but in some cultures it really was appreciated and almost celebrated. And like I said, in medieval Europe believed that menstruation was sinful and contaminated. A lot of the times they viewed you as impure. And that's what led women to have to be so discreet about what they use, and often free bleeding or having not the right hygienic, proper feminine care. And so I also included the laws of Nida are rooted in the Torah and are still followed by Orthodox Jewish families today. Now, obviously, there's a couple of different religions that also have their own beliefs, but pretty much not a lot of them are as strict anymore, especially now as times are progressing and it's becoming more of a global issue. But I did include these from the Torah to support that. These pretty much let you know that in some religions, women and spouses are not allowed or not supposed to engage in any kind of physical or sexual activity with one another for at least 7 days until they are deemed cleaned again. And if I can go on, some short clips I included was the Period End of Sentence trailer from the Netflix documentary that highlights the taboo surrounding menstruation in cultures in regions like India. It's crazy because once you watch the video, some of these men don't even, like some of these people and men and women, they don't even know what menstruation is, let alone a pad or anything like that. So let me just skip into that.
Can you explain what is this? Why are you not answering?
नाम सुना? ये तो ये घंटे वाले पीरियड्स जो मतलब ओरिजिन में चलते हैं। नहीं। पैड समझते हो ना?
नाम भी नहीं सुना, नाम भी तुम्हारा नहीं सुना। पता ही नहीं कैसे करेंगे। ले नहीं कपड़ा सा भी यूज करते हैं। ज़्यादातर मैंने ये देखा है कि मतलब इतनी छूट नहीं है लड़कियों के लिए, जॉब कर सके या फिर कुछ कर सके, इंडिपेंडेंट हो सके।
एक मशीन लग रही है काठी खेरा में, सुना है आपने इसके बारे में?
Okay, and so that pretty much is the entirety of the video, but yeah, it really just brings attention to the fact that these women don't have these kind of like access to menstrual products that we do today, and how it has impacted their lives and communities altogether. And then I'm not going to play this video because it is about 3 minutes long, but I will give you a summary. A video from the YouTube channel Girls for Girls provides firsthand accounts of practices in Nepal, India, including an ancient tradition known as chupati, where women are isolated in sheds during their menstrual periods. Thankfully, now today, they have evolved a bit in some parts where women are actually allowed their own single, like, room, where they aren't forced into these sheds or anything like that. It's a little bit safer. Some women have died even from snakes, weather conditions. So, as you can imagine, but this channel does aim to educate women about feminine hygiene, menstruation management, including the use of pads. So I thought that was really nice and helpful. The advertisements and marketing has been a big part of how we view menstruation altogether. And so the marketing of menstrual products have changed significantly over time. Yes. Early 20th century ads, such as the ones I included down here by Kotex, they avoided directly mentioning menstruation or periods. They usually refer to it with euphemisms like feminine hygiene. And I mean, now we have evolved entirely. This is one of the newer ads created, such as this one as well. And then we have this that I included because it was the first time that the word period was ever mentioned, 1985.
Does your life change once a month because of your period? Still using pads? Let me tell it to you straight. Tampax can change the way you feel about your period.
Okay, that was pretty much it, just to show that the word period had been said. It's really crazy because to believe that we didn't even acknowledge our menstrual cycles as a period, or they weren't acknowledged in marketing and advertisements up until 1985. But yeah, so, oops, sorry, skipped ahead. Yeah, as you can see, there's a big difference in these ads down here. They use words like dainty and avoid embarrassment. And then we have these ads up here where they embrace their periods and they are focusing on normalizing menstruation comfort and the environmental impacts of these disposable products. Today, it's not just disposable it's not just disposable pads. We also have new and improved technology like the menstrual cups, the moon cups, and we also have the reusable underwear, which we've used cloth pads in the past, but now they're a lot better, a lot cleaner. And yeah, so as you can see, just from these alone, I feel like this shows a lot. If I had something to hide, I'd carry a purse versus avoid embarrassment and keep everything discreet. I think that shows a lot. So yeah, and now, although I will say they did promote hygiene, this was a pretty big turning stone at the time for them to even talk about it. So, I mean, but now we are so much more evolved, and hopefully we can keep on evolving and get better access to products and healthcare for people all around the world, not just for us in Western cultures. So yeah. And then this is just my works cited, and that's it. Thank you for watching.